Hello and welcome all to the third in our quarterly series of webinars. This webinar, we're going to talk about some reporting tools. The subjects we're going to cover today are the analytics on our home screen. The analytics are used for accessing your KPIs or your key performance indicators. We're going to talk about some simple reporting tools for when you just need a simple list of data. We're going to talk about the reporting module, which is the next evolution of the analysis module. And we're going to do a little bit of training at the end where we're going to talk about saving and sharing your reports. First up, we'll talk about the analytics. So this section is meant to show you your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and have them readily available at all times. We know that the key performance indicators for each client are not the same, and they're not necessarily the same for each person within a company. So the analytics are set up to be user specific so that everyone can set up their analytics to show the key performance indicators specific to their company or position. You can add the same analytic more than once. You can add them within groups with shared filters. You can add them within groups with independent filters. So that allows you to set up groups of analytics and add filters to them to be able to show you information just for maybe a specific building or a specific trade. So you have you have a lot of versatility within your analytics. Our analytics shows up right here in our right here on our home screen. It's the first thing you see as soon as you log in. Every time you log in, it's going to refresh. So I'm looking at a simple one here on my home screen that's just open work orders, broken down by work order type. Now I got to add a filter to this if I wanted to see open work orders for just a certain school or just a specific type of equipment or something like that. I can add filters to those analytics. And where I would do that is down at the bottom, there's a button that says Analytics to Display. And when I go to that window, I can do lots of things from here. I've got a whole list of analytics on the left-hand side in the Available Analytics section. All of these analytics I can add into my displayed analytics. I can add filters to them, and I can add groups. And groups are something that make it easy to organize your KPIs. So you can add a group with this Add Group button, and that's going to let you create a group. And there's two different types. We can create a group that has a shared filter, so we could put multiple analytics into one group using a shared filter. And then we could filter all of those analytics at the same time. So we'd be able to put together a group of our KPIs, say for our maintenance team, and we can filter that group of analytics all at the same time without having to do them individually. Alternatively, we can create a group with an independent filter. And what the independent filter does is it lets us put together a group of analytics, but it lets us filter each analytic on its own. So if we're using analytics from multiple data sets, so let's say we want to see information about a building, but the information we want to see is the open work orders, the labor hours, and the materials purchased for that building. Well, that's pulling from two different data sets, purchasing and maintenance. So we can still group those together. We just use an independent filter, and then we'd filter each one of them individually. And this is what that'll look like. So I've got two groups here. I've got a maintenance group where I've got open work orders, work order completion performance, emergencies, and work order hours by employee. All of these pull from the same data set, so I don't have to worry about I don't have to
they'll pull from the same data set, so I don't have to worry about doing an independent filter. I can just add my filter right to my maintenance group, and it'll filter all the analytics underneath. With my building filter down here, I've got a couple of different data sets. I'm pulling spending by uniformat 2 code. So I put an independent filter on this one, and I'll show you how we can filter that one. So let's see what that actually looks like. So on my actual screen here, this is what it looks like. So I'm in my analytics to display. I have it set up just like I had on my screenshot there. And I can see here that I've got my maintenance group, and I've got my 4 analytics in my maintenance group, and I can hit the little gear in the top, and I can say, I want to see this just for building 063. And now I've filtered all 4 of those analytics just like that. No problem. I can change that filter right away. So I saw it for 063. Maybe I want to see it. Maybe I want to see it next for 133. I can switch that up, and then I can go back to no filter very easily. So, and it refreshes all 4 of them all at the same time. When I scroll down, I'll see my other group. So here is my building group, and this has independent filters. This is an independent filter group. So I can see right here, each one of these analytics is being filtered independently. And I've got them all filtering by that building 133, but I have the ability to change that by hitting the little gear in the top, choosing the analytic that I want to change. Let's say I want to change total spending by uniformat 2 code, and I want to take the filter off it completely. Well, now I hit no filter, and now I've changed that one to not have a filter, so that one's not filtering by 133. So that gives me a nice, that lets me do that, make that change nice and quick without having to really jump in and make a lot of changes. Now I'm scrolling up and down here a lot. It's kind of tedious. But I want to be able to look at all those analytics. What I can do is I can go up to the top and I can hit pop out, and I can pop this out into this nice dashboard where I've got my maintenance group up at the top. I can see all those analytics. I've got my building group at the bottom where I can see all of those analytics all together in one spot. We've got a nice dashboard right here that we can just jump in and we can look at all of this. Now, another thing that we can do with our analytics is we're looking at this and we're saying, you know what, this is really nice. I can see all of my data, but what if I need to take this to a meeting? Well, I can take each one of these analytics individually, and I can hit the little gear and I can hit export, and then I can choose to export any of these analytics just by highlighting them, hit OK, and this is going to pop this analytic right out into Excel for me, including the chart. Just like this, we've got our chart, and on the details tab, we've got all the data that makes up that chart. And since this is just an Excel subtotal, I can hit the little number 3 right here, and I can see all the data that makes up that analytic. So I've got all of that right here in my Excel spreadsheet that I can print, I can email, I can copy to my local workstation, which I'm going to show you before we're done here today. That can all happen. That can all happen right here from the analytics screen. And once you set up your analytics, like I set these all up a few weeks back, and they just stay set up the way I put them. So once I've got my analytics set and I know these are my KPIs, these are the things I need to keep an eye on. Well, once they're set up, I don't have to change them again. They're always just available for me. So that's our analytics section. It is one of the newer, it's one of the newer reporting tools that we have in our system, and you've probably all seen it, but maybe you weren't familiar with it. So what questions What questions do you have about the analytics?
So far, was I think just in awe. No, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward, and just a few things I'd like to say too is all your saved filters and everything, as Corey mentioned, you can also just configure them, and then go back to how it was saved as well. But if you just needed a very specific thing for that day, you have your starting point. You can just do configure it, and then go back to how it was.
That's right. Right. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no questions about analytics.
We have a question of how many can you set up? I think it's how many you can kind of want to do. That would be up to you. But maybe Corey, I don't know if there is a limit.
So there's no limit on how many analytics you can add to the home screen. But every time you load your home screen, it refreshes those analytics. So when you log in, it's going to refresh those analytics. So mine went pretty quick when I had 8 analytics on there. But I'm in a demo system. We probably don't have a ton of data. If you've been using the system for 5, 6, 10 years, you're going to have a lot of data in your system. And if you put 50 analytics, if you think about the time it takes you to run a report, it's going to be running. If you've got 50 analytics on there, it's going to be running 50 reports every time you log in. So you can put as many analytics as you want. The only issue you might run into is load time. So just keep that in mind as you add them in. You're probably going to be extending the load time of your home screen by a little bit.
You can also have things saved but not displayed. Am I correct on that, Corey? And then when you go to analytics to display, you can just put them in.
You could, yeah.
And Tony was asking what support for Megamation is available.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is somebody waiting on the phone line to help you set up your analytics. Our support team is always there, always available, and analytics is something that they help people out with a lot. So definitely call our support team anytime, and they can help you set that up. And if you if you have more questions than what you can get answered on a support call, or if you just want to go through and do a detailed training session, because we're obviously not doing a training session right now. It's more of an information session. If you want to do a full training session, you can call our support line. They'll set you up with a training session, and I'll sit down with you for an hour and show you how to set up your analytics and help you find the analytics that work best for you. So that's always an option as well. Training and support are always unlimited. All right. Okay. Let's get on to our next section then. So the next section the next thing we're going to talk about is some simple reporting tools. So this would be your this would be your console exports and your QBF pop-ups. So we're going to start with console exports, and this would be if you've used the work order console or you've used the project management console, you've probably seen these export buttons on those consoles. And what they do is they export the data that you're looking at, whatever that data happens to be, they export that data into Excel for you. So I've got my console set up right here, and I'm set up to use my planning mode. So I've got my I'm broken down by issue 2. I'm looking at estimated hours. I'm looking at available hours and utilization statistics. I've got all that here on my console because this is the stuff I need to track if I'm a maintenance planner, right? I'm looking at all this, and all of this is set up through your planning mode criteria and your selection criteria. And if you're looking at this and you're saying, you know what, I don't know how to set that up, again, call our support line, and then we can help you get your console set up and help you help you get your console set up to show you your data like this. But no matter how you're looking at your data, whatever way you're breaking it down, if you're breaking it down by trade, or if you're just looking at a list of all of the open work orders in your system, you can export that into Excel however you are looking at it, just by going down to the bottom right-hand corner and hitting the export button. And when I say however you're looking at it, I mean that completely. So when you go to your columns to display and you decide what columns you're looking at, and you go to your sort criteria and you change your sorts, and you go to your selection criteria and you change it to show you only whatever work orders you want to see, then what you're displaying here on the console, when you hit export, that's what's going to go into Excel. So when I do that, now I'm looking at Excel, and in Excel, I'm broken down by issue 2. I've got subtotals for my estimated hours and actual hours and remaining hours. I've got my availability and usage or utilization numbers are all right here on my Excel spreadsheet. I don't have I might not have lots of pretty colors, but when you export this to Excel, now you could copy it to your local workstation, and you'd be able to go in and add some formatting and make this a nice report that you can take to a meeting and make a presentation on why you need to hire more people, or whatever your presentation happens to be. So this is a simple way to just take the data that you're already looking at and put it out into a report that you can then email or print or what have you. Now, we can do that from the work orders tab on our console, on our work order console. We can do it from the equipment history tab on our console. So if we highlight a work order and we're looking at our equipment history, we can export the history of that equipment right into Excel as well. So if we need to hand that on to somebody who's going to work on it, maybe they hit the maintenance history of a boiler or something like that, well, we can put that right out here into Excel, and we can print it out or email it. If you're using the project console, and I didn't set up a project console today because I didn't want to get repetitive, but if you go into the project console, you'll see that export button in the bottom right hand corner. You'll see it on the project screen, the project tab, the step tab, and on the work order tab as well as maybe a couple others. So those those console exports, they're exporting exactly the data you're seeing on your screen, making it nice and easy to get that data out into your spreadsheet that you can work with. So console exports is one. The next one is the QBF Popup.
And sorry, Corey, to interrupt. It's
Yep.
Matt. Dana's had a question about, can you retrieve work orders from history in the work order console?
On the equipment history tab, you can, but not on the main tab, not on the work orders tab. In the equipment history, there's a checkbox at the bottom that says include work orders previously transferred to history.
Great, thank you.
Problem. All right, so the second just because I'm seeing it, Dana, your question, can you assist with setup of the summary of hours report that's displayed on your screen? Absolutely, we can. If you call the support line, they'll be able to help you out, and or they can set you up with a training session with me, and I can definitely go through that with you. That's no problem at all. Maybe Matt can reach out to you actually after we're done here and set something up. Okay. So QBF Popup. So what the QBF Popup is when you do a search for when you do a search, maybe you're searching for work orders or you're searching for purchase orders or what have you, and you're able to bring up a list of work orders. Maybe you search for all the repair work orders and you bring up a list of those work orders, and you can select as many as you want, and you can open them all and you can scroll through them. Well, that is a QBF list, and I'm going to show you how we can actually get that list right from your search into Excel so that you can work with it from there. So the QBF pop-up can be used from most search result windows or from a QBF search. It allows searching, or sorry, allows you to choose multiple fields from the screen you're searching in. Once the fields are chosen, any QBF pop-up from that screen will have those fields automatically selected, so it's a repeatable report. Okay, it's something that you can quickly and easily do again and again and again. One downside is that if you're looking at multi-valued fields like the equipment number on a work order or the labor lines on a work order, on those multi-value fields, the QBF, because it's a very simple report, is not going to show you all the lines of labor or all the equipment numbers on one work order. It only shows you the first one. So let me show you what I mean. When we do a search, and I did a search here for repair work orders. I just went into the work order processing screen. I hit the magnifying glass and I searched by work order type repair. And it showed me 209 matching work orders. They're all type repair. Some are closed, some are open. Doesn't matter. I hit select all at the bottom. There we go. And it brought up 209 work orders. So you've probably done this in the past. So you've selected a couple of work orders or a bunch of work orders, and then you can scroll through them, right? So we have the little arrow keys up at the top where we can hit next, excuse me, next and previous and last, and we can scroll through and we can look at each work order individually and we can see all of the data. But if we want to get that list into an Excel spreadsheet, and we want to have just our list of work orders with maybe all of their priorities or all their statuses or whatever, we can do that by clicking the options button and hitting QBF pop-up. When we hit QBF pop-up, it's going to bring us to this QBF selection window, where we can select the fields that we want to have on our report. Then we do that just by highlighting them and using the little arrow keys here in the center to move them to the selected fields, or you can double click on them. Then once we've selected our fields, so we select all the fields that we want. I've got 7 fields here. You can set sorts. So when it goes to Excel, it's already sorted. In this case, I did it by work order number. And then I check this export selected fields button or radio button. And then when I hit OK, it gives me my spreadsheet. So it gave me my spreadsheet with exactly the fields that I chose. I've got 7 fields right across here on my spreadsheet. And when I can hit file, save as, and I can save this report and I can send it. I can email it. I can copy it to my local computer. I can create a pivot table. I can do whatever I want with it because now I've just got that data out into Excel. So it's a nice, easy way to get that to get your data into a report. And I selected these 7 fields. Next time I do a work order search, select a bunch of work orders and hit QBF pop-up. When I come back in, it's going to have these same fields selected. So if this is something that I'm doing all the time, I'm running this report on a regular basis. Well, I've got those fields selected, so I just got to hit QBF pop-up, hit export selected fields, and OK, and away it goes. Now I've got a spreadsheet of all the data that I need right away. So those are two simple reporting functions: our console exports and our QBF pop-up exports. you may have used them in the past. You may not have. One note that I'll make on the QBF pop-ups is you may recognize the term QBF. It's query by form. There is a QBF search available in the system as well that lets you search by fields on the form. If you want more information about that, you can call our support team and we can explain that a little bit. I didn't want to get too much into that today. So what questions do we have?
I think they're good on that area as well. I'm not seeing anything coming up here. There was a few questions about making the screen bigger, but I think they were able to kind of sort that on their own workstations.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
well, wait, we just have one. Can you build custom reports with macros? That's from Dana. I'll let Corey take that one.
So we can build custom reports. We disable macros in Excel. You can add macros to your Excel forms once you take them, once you copy them to your local workstation. But macros are disabled in Excel on our server for security reasons. So macros are not something we normally use. We can create custom reports though. So if you have specific reports that you need, you can always contact us. We can talk to your account manager and we can build custom reports for you. And I think that Marty Mattis corrected me on what QBF stands for. He said it stands for query by field. I said form. I always thought it was form.
Dana just has a follow-up.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Capture just the summary of the. Dana, I think we'd have to talk about that offline. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure I know what you mean. But I think that we might be able to kind of get the summary fields from analytics. So yeah, Dana, we should definitely get together after get together after this and we can answer that question as well. Okay. Do we have any other questions? Questions or corrections? Corrections if I if I made a mistake. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you the next thing I want to show you is the reporting module. And I debated whether I was going to leave the reporting module in here as a thing to show you or not, because the reporting module it's not really new. It's just an adjustment to the analysis module that's been in our system for at least 15 years. So with the reporting what the reporting module does is it takes all of your it takes all of the reports that you remember seeing in the analysis module, where we had them broken down by different modules, and you went into a different export window for each one, and it kind of puts them all together. The reporting module does just like the analysis module always does, and if you're not familiar with reporting in our system at all, it exports to Excel. You can use the the canned reports, or you can create your own reports. When you create your own reports, they're saved in the system, and you can run them whenever you want. You can use template promotion to save your formatting, so you can do things like bolding your headings and maybe adding calculations and changing column widths and things like that. You can do all of that, and then you can use template promotion to save all that formatting, so that the next time you run it, all your formatting is already there. And You can also use that to prevent other people from changing your report, because once you promote it, it's yours and no one else can change it. Some functions that are in the reporting module that you may not be aware of is totaling. When you run an export report, or when you create an export report, you can add totals to any number fields. So in my example here, labor and material costs. If I want to have a total of labor and material costs from my work orders, I can set those totals. I can also add subtotals. So right here, on field number 1, I chose type. So I'm going to have a labor and material subtotal by work order type. Another thing that I can do when I'm creating a report, and this is in the export definition wizard, another thing I can do is I can set default sorts and I can set default filters. So I have a subtotal by type, so that's by default going to be my primary sort, but I can add a secondary sort when I'm creating the report, and then every time I run that report, that secondary sort is going to be set for me by default. I can change it, but it's always set. I can also add default search criteria. So if I wanted my report to always show me PM type work orders, or always show me only closed work orders, then I could add those as default filters on my report. And then when I run then I don't have to add filters to my report every time. I just got to go in, maybe add a date range and hit export, and away it goes. One thing that is different in the reporting module as opposed to the analysis module is now when you're saving your report, it's going to ask for a report name and a report title. So the report name is what's going to show up in the export reports window when you're looking for your report. The report title is what's going to show up at the top of your spreadsheet. So in the past, we only had a report name, and that showed up at the top of our spreadsheet. That was just it. Well, now you have the ability to give it a name. So I called this one webinar report, so I know that it's the report for my webinar. And then I can also add a title so that my spreadsheet doesn't say webinar report, it says work orders with labor and material. I still need to put in a description, and I need to select a module. And the reason I always need to select a module now is because we're only going to have one export window. So setting this module is going to place it within that export reports window in the right place. So when we do that, this is what our reporting module looks like now. So before, you would click analysis, and then it would show you'd have employees and maintenance and equipment and inventory, and then you'd select one of those and it would bring up an export window just like this, but only for equipment or only for inventory. Well, now rather than have that, we just have all the modules listed together in the all modules window. These windows are going there, or this window is going to have our module, and under module, we're going to see our custom reports. So all of these ones here, Corey work order report, machine downtime report, my report, those are all reports that were created probably by me. And then these ones down here are our canned reports, and we can tell the difference because we have this little asterisk in brackets at the end of all of our canned reports. Now, let's take a look at what that actually looks like in the system. So in our reporting module, now we're going to have, like I said, we have all modules, and then in all modules, we have our different modules. So we go to maintenance, and we can see I have my Corey work order report. I've got, and then I've got these ones here, these canned reports with a little asterisk on them. And you'll see that in every module. Ones that reports with little asterisks on them, those are all canned reports. So they're pre-made reports. Here's my webinar report. If I select that one, here's the description I put in. I go to my sort criteria. My primary sort is already here. Now I just have to put in a start date and an end date. And I hit export. And it's going to put that into Excel for me. And you'll notice that I've got by work order type a subtotal of labor and material. And I have that for every work order type in my report. So now I've got a report, and we've exported 5 or 6 different things to Excel now. And every time I said I'm going to show you how to get those reports onto your local workstation. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to show you how to do it. So first, there's a couple of things that I want to mention about saving reports. These are just a couple of things that you want to note. When you're saving, when you want to get your report to your local computer, the first thing you need to do is save it on our server. Okay, and we do that. When we do that, we always want to change the name of the report. If you don't, it overwrites the template, and then it's going to cause you problems when you're running the report later. You cannot save it directly to your computer, so you want to save it in the default folder on the server, and then we're going to use copy or move files to save the report to your local computer or send it via email. So let's run through that process right now. And I said this wasn't going to be a training session, but I thought it was going to be an information session, but we're going to do a little bit of training right now. So we've got our webinar report right here. The first thing that I'm going to do if I want to get this onto my local computer is I'm going to hit File, and I'm going to go to Save As. I'm always going to Save As because I'm always going to change the name of my report. I'm going to use the current folder because that's always going to, and if you look at it, the path will always be N and then your client name, and you'll see your username in here. Then I'm going to go to the file name right here, and I'm simple, so I always just do it the simple way, and I add the date to it. So I'm changing the name of my report just by adding today's date to it. That does 2 things for me. It changes the name of my report so I can safely save it without overwriting a template, and it reminds me when I created this report, so that when we look at a list of reports, and we're going to do that in a moment, we can always tell which one is the one that we did today. So I'm going to hit save. Now I've saved my report. It's in my folder, and every user has their own folder on the direct line server. So now I can close Excel, and I'm going to close the reporting module, and then get myself back to the home screen. Now I want that report to show up on my I want that report on my local desktop so I can go in and I can add a pivot table to it and send it to my manager. So to do that, I'm going to hit Utilities, and I'm going to go to Copy or Move Files and copy to local workstation. We've got 2 folders here. There is an export report directory and an analysis report directory. Any canned reports that you save are going to come from this, are going to be in the analysis report directory. So any canned reports, like the reports that are in the system by default, any console exports, they're going to show up in the analysis report directory. In the export report directory, these are going to be the reports that you created. So right here is my webinar report 08/31/22. So I know right off that's the one I just saved today because I got the date right in the name. So now I can email this to myself. I could hit email files. Do you wish to email the selected file? Yes. Now it's going to bring up an email window. I can just punch in my email address or anyone else's email address that I want to send it to, and just hit send email. So now I've emailed that report to myself. That's one easy way to do it. Then I could get it from my email and save it wherever I want. But what if it's a large report? What if it's too big to send in an email? Well, I can hit download files. And what this is going to do is it's going to use a third-party program called Dropbox. It's going to take your report and it's going to put it in Dropbox and let you download it from there. So it doesn't require us having any access to your PC. It's just handing the file off and then you picking it up. So it tells us here that your local browser will open. We'll say yes. That's going to open my browser probably on the wrong screen, as it always does. And here we go. So this is what it did. It opened my browser. My default browser is Chrome. So it opened Chrome. Here's a preview of my file. And you can see up here I'm at dropbox.com. So now I want this report. I just hit the download button right here in the top left corner. It gives me the option to sign up or sign in. I don't need to do that because my file's already downloaded right here. So it's an easy, secure way for you to get your report off of the server, to get it downloaded locally for you, so that you can do things like add charts to it or add macros to it or whatever you want to do. Add in some more formulas, whatever kind of information you need to add to your report. Now you can do that because now we've copied it to our local machine.
So there's a question from Brent about material costs getting entered in the system. Is it done mainly by the trade doing the work? And which could be, but or not.
So the material costs get entered can get entered in two ways. One is right on the work orders, and the other one would be through inventory issues. Brent, if I remember correctly, your team is using mobile devices, so they could add materials to the work orders right from their mobile device. Or if they're not using mobile, you can do it right from the work order completion screen within the system. You just add the materials into the material section on the work order. It can be done by the trade, or it can be done there. I think Ray answered his question for him. It can be as far as direct line goes. It can be done from the work order, from the issues. It can be done with parts that you have in inventory. You can also do it with non-inventory items. If you want to talk about that, Brent, definitely reach out to us and we can take a look at that. Right. Are there any other questions? All right. So that is the end of our presentation. I hope that you all learned at least something, or learned about a feature that we can teach you about later. I am going to post the recording of this webinar on it'll be posted on our YouTube channel. So if you subscribe already to our YouTube channel, you'll get a notification when it goes up, and probably tomorrow. If you don't subscribe, I'm still going to send you a link. Everyone who was invited to the webinar is going to receive an email from me as soon as I upload it, with a link to that particular video. If you're unfamiliar with our YouTube channel, we do have a ton of we do have a ton of training videos there, and every one of the webinars we did has been recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So they're all available in there. Feel free to jump in, subscribe to our channel, take a look at the videos, and if there's anything you'd like anything you'd like to see in a video, you can always send us an email or contact support, and we can look into it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for their time, and I want to stress, as I'm sure most of you know, but I always like to mention one of our strengths is the ability to configure the application. Nothing is, in stone. So, if there's certain things you want to do that you maybe didn't see on the screen, doesn't mean that we can't do it. And as Corey mentioned, reach out to support, reach out to the account managers. If we are collecting that data, we can help you use that data.
Exactly. Kim asked, can we get webinars 1 and 2? Absolutely. They're available on our YouTube channel. Kim, I will send you, I'll send you an email with a link to the webinar playlist. And I saw one other question and I lost it. Dana, I'll send you the link as well.
Yeah. And Dana, I'll reach out to see if you want to set up a training or anything like that to go a bit further into the analytics.
All right. Okay. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day. And I really appreciate you all joining. Thank you.